I'll start with the first part. For those of you who are still disappointed, I'm not wearing a suit. I'm very, very sorry. You're gonna have to come back tomorrow, so and see who else will come up with me on stage. And thanks all of the speakers today already for what has been for me a super inspiring first day of Showtime. I would say the most inspiring day we've ever had. And Louis, we have some pretty big shoes to fill here after all of these amazing speakers and content. And in our session, Louis and myself will talk about, first of all, the future of sales enablement, but especially about how it's impacting our thinking about Showpad and the platform that we're building. And to understand where things are going, to understand where the market is going and what is happening, let's have a look at what we find and what we believe is the most important trend when it comes to buying behavior. And that trend, if you take a step back, you can see there has been a massive evolution in your buying behavior in the last 10 years. Today, your buying decisions, the buying decisions of consumers, of individual consumers, are guided or impacted or predominantly based on the experience ahead of price and product. And guess what? That same evolution, that same revolution is taking place in B2B. You are all dealing with this right now. This is the reality that we live in. This is the reason why Jason is right. Louis and myself didn't wake up one day and said, we're going to start a sales enablement company. We woke up one day and wanted to start a company that solves problems, but that especially gives salespeople a chance to be successful, to be more relevant. But those two are linked with each other. So at Showpad, we wanted to dig deeper. We wanted to research and understand what was happening with that buyer behavior. So we decided to research modern buyer behavior to get a better understanding of what is happening today. And so our marketing team did an amazing job collecting these results. So let's have a look. We surveyed over 600 B2B buyers, both in the US and in Europe. And we basically asked them how they buy today, and a bunch of related questions to that, and also what their main challenges are. So you can think of these buyers basically as your customers, and I'm 100% sure there were several of your customers, of your buyers in our survey. So the first question that we asked them was how the length of the sales cycle has evolved in the past 12 months. So in the past 12 months, how has the buying cycle evolved? And guess what? I don't think it comes as a surprise, but buyers are running, or your buyers are running longer sales cycles. Over 50% of the respondents indicated that their buying cycles have increased, and that's obviously a big challenge for anybody who wants to make their sales team more effective, more productive. Second, question that we asked is how many hours of research do you conduct before contacting a sales rep? So how many hours of research do your buyers do before reaching out to sales? Turns out over 50% of the buyers is researching 1 to 2 full business days. So 1 to 2 full business days of research before reaching out to sales. And actually there's a lot of buyers who research even more. If we narrowed this down, if we focused on deals over 100K, if we looked at buyers making purchase decisions of products or services worth over 100K, and Showpad has a lot of customers who sell, you guys sell very expensive stuff sometimes. So over there, the average was 40 hours or more. So again, your buyers, the buying cycles get longer. They do a ton of more research before reaching out. But then comes this interesting stat. It's not ours, but we use this statistic to also ask some additional questions. But this is an IDG number, and it mentions it's 66% of the buyers are desperate for more relevant content. So they take longer to make decisions. It's probably because they're researching you more before they reach out to salespeople. But then if they get content, it's not relevant. And so then we ask, okay, why do your buyers find content to be irrelevant? And we got back some interesting results. And in summary, it basically comes down to content being irrelevant because buyers don't have enough information. If they get information, it's confusing or it lacks ROI data. And in some cases as well, they mention trustworthiness or the lack of true industry expertise as a reason why they found content to be not relevant to them. On top of that, almost all of the respondents agreed or indicated that irrelevant content is slowing down deals, is slowing down decision making. So we then wanted to find out, okay, what content do you find most useful? What type of content, if it's either being shared by a salesperson, or maybe you can find on a website, but what is the content that you find most useful? And then you get back quite a big variety of different sources. And I would say definitely cases, ties back to the ROI that people want to see. Technical specs, I think that also depends on the use case and products that you're selling, but also obviously video being some of the more formats or content types which are higher in demand. And if we ask buyers what content would accelerate the buying decision for you, what types of content could help you speed up decision making, or maybe promoting or talking or sharing information internally, basically what we got back was you can clearly see there that interactive and engaging formats score very well with your buyers, and that personalized so there's personalized content portals, augmented reality, calculators, ROI calculators were most mentioned there. So maybe now let's tie this back to some of the business challenges we hear most when interacting with the audience in this room, which is predominantly sales and marketing leaders. So if we start on the sales side, and I'm sure, and these should be very familiar to you, but we hear a lot, our sales team doesn't have enough time selling. There's too much admin work. They don't have enough time. They don't spend enough time with customers. So we need to increase the active selling time of our sales team. Second is it takes too long to onboard your sales reps. We've heard a lot about onboarding, and I think in all presentations, onboarding or training, coaching has been part of the story and the things that we shared. But we hear back a lot from sales leaders, it takes our reps too long to onboard. Or we want to turn our mid-performers into the top sellers. If we then shift to the marketing side, we hear a lot that obviously marketers, the content struggle, it's still not solved in many cases. It's a daily hassle to make sure salespeople have the right content or using up-to-date materials or staying on brand or actually sharing personalized, relevant content with your buyers. And that the marketing team actually gets the insights in how that content is being used, how it's impacting revenue, how it's actually helping deals to progress through the life cycle. Who identifies with these challenges? I would say raise your hand, and I want to see all hands because, or maybe I will ask who doesn't identify with these challenges, right? There's actually one big thing missing here, and it's actually the number one reason why sales teams don't make quota. So the number one reason sales teams don't make their quota. Maybe think about it yourself, what you believe the reason is. But our friends from Serious Decisions, so you saw Peter Ostro this morning, and Serious Decisions, they've researched, they've asked this question now for over a decade to sales leaders, hundreds of sales leaders every year across industries. They've asked this question: what is the number one reason your sales team doesn't make their number? And do you know what came back as the number one reason in 2011, 2012, 2013? I can go on. 2014, 2015, 2016. My counting is off. 2017. The number one reason salespeople don't make quota is the inability to articulate unique value. So we've talked about a bunch of challenges, from active selling time to marketers living the content struggle, but the number one reason, according to sales leaders, that sales teams don't make quota is the inability to articulate unique value. And you heard me talk about experience and buyer experience, and I started the day as well mentioning that the vision of our company is the best buyer experience wins. And I've also started this presentation with sharing with you that as a consumer, you're making your decisions based on experience over product and price, and the same is happening in B2B. So if you link this to the fact that salespeople can't articulate value, how can your sales team then deliver that best buyer experience? That's one of the biggest challenges in sales enablement. That's one of the ultimate goals of making that happen. And so it ties back to the vision of Showpad. It ties back to the vision of our company. The vision of Showpad is the best buyer experience wins. The winners of tomorrow, the leaders of tomorrow, the companies that will succeed and outperform the competition in the next 3, 5, 10 years are the companies who understand this, and the teams and the sales and marketing teams who understand to leverage. It's a massive challenge, but it's also a massive opportunity. And to deliver that best buyer experience, how can we deliver it? You can say, yeah, buy Showpad. No, we'll explain it to you. That's why Louis will come on stage in a minute, because it takes basically two things. It's actually quite simple. It's on one side, you need smart and informed reps. So reps who are well-trained, well-coached, who have access to the right content and are being supported in that, and who are enabled and empowered and capable of engaging with the modern buyer. The buyer of today who's smarter, who's more informed. You remember me getting up on stage in my Superman suit last year? Well, that was to illustrate that your buyers are smarter, more informed, have way higher expectations, and they will make the decision based on that buyer experience. So you need to engage with them in the way that they want to be engaged. So Louis, yes, come on stage. Give him a big round of applause.
Thanks, VJ.
Yes.
All right. So first of all, I want to start with saying that I was disappointed in how Jason introduced me. I hoped he would try to pronounce my last name. So he already tried it a few times, but it's pretty hard for somebody who speaks English to say Jonckheere. So there's actually an active contest I will introduce in a few weeks for the first American who is able to pronounce it. But that's a joke. So let's talk about the best buyer experience wins. And as PJ mentioned, it's about articulating value, and it's making sure your reps are trained, coached, and have the right content to deliver. But it's also about engagement. And engagement for Showpad means convenience. Today, your customers buy online because it's convenient. Today, we use Uber because it's convenient. We use Airbnb because it is convenient. In a lot of sales organizations, if you're buying something, it's not convenient to communicate or collaborate with a salesperson. So that's something we want to change. So if you acknowledge those problems, then actually the second question is, okay, what are the software platforms that actually are going to help me solve this? And I wanted to start with pointing out, I would say, the 3 massive platforms that we see happening or existing in sales and marketing. And the first one is CRM. And that's actually a question we get a lot from future customers. Say like, hey, I can do this with my CRM system. I can enable my reps with Salesforce or with SAP. Well, that's not true. I mean, if you think about a CRM, if you think about it, it's a system of record. It's the place where salespeople have to input their data. It's the place where you as a manager get insight in what is happening. And ultimately, a CRM is built for managers. It is not built for salespeople. So that's where it all starts. Then there's marketing automation, a second big platform we've seen coming up more and more. A marketing automation platform is a platform built for the marketer. It is something that you use to automate your message at scale to deliver to your channels, your websites, your point of sales, instruments, etc. It is about marketing engagement. None of those two platforms actually help your salespeople sell. I mean, they're not solving any of the challenges we've talked about in the course of today. Like with Showpad, we believe that the big third platform will be a sales enablement platform. And that sales enablement platform will go much broader than just delivering the right content at the right time. It will be the single place where your salespeople learn, train, coach, sell, create content, engage with customers, get insight, and also close deals. It will be the single place where your salespeople really want to spend time. Because we heard it in the presentation of Peter at Serious Decision, they don't like working in their CRM system. They want to spend time with customers. And a sales enablement platform is built for the seller. And it's a system of engagement. So that's where I wanted to start. So let's break down the sales enablement platform of the future. So the first thing, sorry, I forgot a super important part. So you have the CRM, you have the marketing automation system, you have the sales enablement platform, and at the intersection of the three of them, and I will talk about this in the end of my presentation, there's data. There's data about your customer. There's data about how your sales team is engaging, how their knowledge is increasing, and at the core and in the intersection, beautiful things will happen. And this is where I want to end my presentation with. So what if we destruct sales enablement? So then the first thing that we do with Showpad is content. And this is like how we started. Like we've built that content management system that delivers the right content at the right time. Because salespeople need to be enabled with the knowledge your buyers have today. And a content platform is all about, first of all, making sure your sales and marketing assets can be centralized, can be managed in a system purpose-built for a sales use case, for a marketing use case. And then this is all about making sure that those assets can be found. I mean, one of the biggest challenges that we've seen in the early days of Showpad is the inability for salespeople to find what they need. Like when speaking with analysts a few years ago, the biggest reason customers bought sales enablement was because salespeople simply didn't find the content they needed. 80% of the content was never being used. And with a platform like Showpad, we can recommend salespeople what to do just in time for a specific deal, for a specific opportunity, for a specific buyer. With a powerful search, we can make it super easy for them to find what they want to use in front of a customer. And then, of course, we'll have the analytics on top of that. But this is just step one. Because if you think about the buying experience, like having great content is awesome. Like having the right case study, having the right analyst report is where it all starts. You become knowledgeable as a salesperson. But if you're not trained and coached in an effective way, it's impossible to deliver that great buying experience. So let's talk about training and coaching. Because there's an issue there. Like training and coaching is seeing the same level of disruption that we've seen in the content space. Like training and coaching today in a lot of companies is old school. And I have one graph which I want to illustrate the issue that we have today. So this is the learning pyramid. And this is a massive research that talks about like how people retain knowledge that they had in a class or in a training. And so for example, after 24 hours, people only remember 5 to 10% of what they see in a lecture or what they read on a PowerPoint or a PDF. Only 5 to 10%. Think about it. A lot of companies today still train their sales force by giving a lecture. 5 to 10%. If you make it a bit more interactive with a webinar, it goes up to 20%. If you then, again, add some discussion with it, if you add a learning management system, it goes up to 50%. Great. Most of the companies out there today train their sales organization, their revenue teams by doing this, by lectures, by simple courses, by having some discussion. This is not the future of learning. This is not the future of enablement. This is when it starts to become interesting. And we already talked about it in a few presentations. Like learning becomes effective once you can practice, once you have managers that can coach you, once you have peers that can give you feedback on how you sell the presentations you create. And this is where the future of training and coaching is all about. So PJ and myself, actually, I think it was 2011, we had the first strategic presentation to the company where we talked about how do we see this platform by 2020. And like training and coaching was a fundamental part of it. And we always believed that one day we would offer that capability. So we decided to bring in a second offering into Showpad. You have the content side, you have training and coaching. And that's where we met the guys from LearnCore. And so you've all read, and we've talked about it at length, that we've acquired a training and coaching technology company in Chicago. And so we met the founders, I think, it's about a year ago. So maybe Vishal and Ryan, if you guys can get up. So those are the founders of LearnCore. So they're now part of the amazing Showpad team. Welcome, guys. This is one of the most important decisions we've ever made at Showpad, is to extend the value of our offering, to truly start to believe and to act upon the promise that we will solve the buying experience problem. So what does LearnCore do? And I will not give a demo of the product, but I do want to show you what a modern training and coaching solution is all about. So first of all, it's about the consumption of knowledge. You still have to do that. You will still have to create interactive videos, PowerPoints, PDFs. You will have to make sure salespeople can run through them in the courses. They will still be certified. You will still have quizzes, Q&As, like where they can prove they actually know what they're doing. But then thirdly, there's practice. And this is where the technology starts to become modern. Like with this type of technology, salespeople can practice their pitches. They can upload videos. They can upload emails they want to send to a customer. And then there's a system in there that can actually review it and give coaching based on what they're doing. So there's a practicing part. There's a review part, giving managers the tool to, at scale, actually deliver coaching. And this is where the issue is. Like the biggest problem we see today in sales enablement is the lack of technologies for sales managers. Like, how are sales managers involved in the sales enablement platform? Today, I mean, very little. By having modern training and coaching, you give them the tools to actually coach at scale. And so we will show this tomorrow in the product keynote. So content, training, and coaching. Ultimately, this all leads up to the next thing, which is the third pillar of a sales enablement platform, and that is engagement. Because ultimately, why do you want to have informed salespeople who can articulate value? So they can give super powerful presentations, so they can share super relevant content. But in the world of today, salespeople have email and they have slides. And that's great, but it's not the future. So the engagement pillar with Showpad will be all about, for example, experiences, like a different way to tell a story. Instead of running through 15 slides, tell an interactive story, turn presentations into conversations. We've invested in this technology super aggressively in the last year, and we'll continue to do so. How do you collaborate with your customers? If you have sales cycles of a year, 2 years, like email is not the best way to make it happen. So we came up with a concept called shared spaces, where you can collaborate in an online space dedicated for a specific deal. This is the future of engagement. Like, buyers don't want to mess around in 52 emails. Like, they want to have a very structured approach to that conversation. Augmented reality, 3D. Again, something we announced last year at Showtime. We really believe that augmented reality is the next big thing after PowerPoint. If you're selling physical goods and if you want to have more compelling storytelling, this is what you're going to be doing. And it's awesome to already see with a bunch of our customers great case studies and great results of applying this technology out there. And tomorrow we're going to announce a new product that is going to be phenomenal in terms of engagement. I'm not going to say it today, so definitely make sure tomorrow you come to the product keynote. But we're introducing a new concept that is going to take engagement to the next level. And then you have AI. Like, everybody talks about it. Like, if you today insert AI in your sales pitch, then you're golden, right? Well, with Showpad, we have a much deeper thinking about it. Because AI can only happen if you start to bring together all of those three fundamental concepts: content, training, and engagement. Because if you start to do that, then suddenly Showpad, or a sales enablement platform, is becoming a place where, again, you understand the content salespeople make, you understand how they present it, how they share it, how it resonates. Like, all of those customer touch points suddenly become visible and tangible. Like with LearnCore, we actually see how salespeople are progressing in their knowledge. Are they being certified? How are they being coached? That's a lot of valuable data out there. The engagement. I mean, every customer-facing presentation, every shared space, every time a customer visits a piece of content, that's a data point that is super important for us to see. Marketing automation. We have integrations with those systems to enrich that data. Showpad will tell you what your salespeople are doing. Marketing automation will tell you what your future customers are doing on the websites, like on the digital channels. add CRM to the mix, and for the first time in history, you have a complete view of what your sales team is doing and how it's impacting revenue, how it's impacting the effectiveness of your job. And this is what will change sales enablement fundamentally, the fact that this data is coming together in a single platform that is going to build solutions to augment the sales rep. Like, I don't believe in the death of the salesman. Like, I don't believe in it. I think a phenomenal quote that I read recently was of the IBM CEO. And he said, like, maybe 10% of the jobs will disappear, but 90% of the jobs will change. And I think that's the challenge all of us see with adoption, with enabling our sellers to be more effective, to go from like product selling to solution selling. Like, the change management is enormous, but it's happening. It's going to happen, and a platform, a sales enablement platform, will guide you. AI will guide you with that. So a sneak peek in what we're going to talk about tomorrow, because this AI is going to be leveraged in the product to recommend your salespeople what to share, to recommend them specific trainings to take, so that a manager doesn't always have to reach out through email to guide him to something. Like, software will start to take over that role step by step. And a big feature we're announcing tomorrow, which I can already talk about today, is a sales cockpit, a home screen where AI will start to recommend salespeople what to present, which trainings to take, deal-specific, specific for that salesperson. So this is the future of sales enablement. It's a platform that has content, training and coaching, and engagement that brings together all of the data that is important for your business. So today I talked about what the future is. Tomorrow in the product keynote, we will actually show it to you. Thank you.